Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the Uncanny X-Men number 212, continuing on the Mutant Massacre series. This is a fantastic cover. I don't know who did this cover. Part of me makes me think, like, is this Barry Windsor Smith, or... Well, I mean, it can't be Silvestri. Silvestri always signs his stuff. Not sure who did this cover, but the interior artist is Rick Leonardi. But anyway, this is Wolverine versus Sabretooth, round one. Let's go, baby! Open up. This is the last run. We open up this issue, and it is Wolverine in the sewers, chasing after the Marauders, looking for a Marauder to ambush and bring back for interrogation per Storm's orders. Here, following up on the godlike issue number 211. Anyhow, this one is obviously for this era of the X-Men, written by Chris Claremont. The guest artist is Rick Leonardi, inked by Dan Green, editor Anna Senti, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. So, again, great, got these great vertical panels. I've been noticing this. I've been like reading a few modern comics, and I realized like the vertical panels are kind of going, like, they don't really show up that much in modern comics anymore, which is a shame because they're freaking, the vertical panel, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, is such a perfect panel design for American comics. Because American comics are kind of thin and tall, it really lends itself to vertical panels, especially when you're talking about a single page, right? Obviously, if you have 2 pages, you can do a 2-page spread for that panoramic cinematic view. But yeah, you got this great Claremont narration. You know, violence is his nature, murder is not. He means to find those responsible and pay them back in full measure. Let's go, bub. So Wolverine's going through the sewers. That great art by Rick Leonardi, by the way. You really get the feeling of just dead bodies everywhere in the sewer as Logan's going around. And he gets a telepathic phone call from Betsy Braddock, British Psylocke. And I don't know why this is so, but Betsy's kind of just being, you know, a sweetheart and just trying to be helpful to Logan. But Logan's kind of being a dick to her, and it's like, shut up, speak when you're spoken to. Storm's gonna be fine. Talk to me later. I don't know why I found Logan to be kind of a dick in this scene, but it is kind of interesting. We go back to Betsy, and she's very frustrated, both with Logan and herself. Sometimes I wonder, like, the subtext of some of the writing that Claremont has. Like, does Betsy kind of like slowly, in her own way, kind of have the hots for Logan when she's going through these panels? I might be reading too much into it, but that's just kind of something that I noticed right here. So in the infirmary, things are terrible, like in the previous issues of X-Men and the New Mutants. People are essentially dying right here, and Storm is very, very frustrated. Very, very frustrated. She doesn't know what to do. You know, you got Callisto, everyone kind of explaining the background of mutants and the X-Men and the Morlocks. This is sort of the traditional 80s storytelling, where the first couple of pages are dedicated to kind of reviewing the world as it is in the shortest way possible, just so new readers that happen to just pick this up off the newsstand can kind of understand what's going on in the X-Men book. But yeah, she goes over to Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's in critical condition, and she's like, I need help. I don't know what to do. This is Storm in crisis here. She joins here. Kitty Pryde is phasing away. There's Colossus, her former lover. Doesn't know what to do either. He himself is kind of jacked up, which we will see as well. And Storm kind of breaks down and freaking bounces. Has like almost like an emotional mental breakdown, has to run away and jump into a lake, which is pretty interesting. Oh man. Anyhow, while while she's running away trying to figure out what the hell she wants to do, Colossus goes to go find Betsy because Betsy has her telepathic ability to find Storm. But he finds out he's in a bad condition too, and in his armored form he falls on Betsy. Who knows? Maybe he wanted a piece of her. But we go down into the hangar, and Rogue and Mr. Corso, who I don't know if you guys remember from the Demon Bear saga, but this was originally a Caucasian police officer, and he got for using the weird magic of the Demon Bear, he got transformed into a Native American And Rick Leonardi has a lot of fun with this. I wonder, was this when Predator came out? Because I swear to God, the way Rick Leonardi drew him, he literally looks like the Native American guy in Predator. It's pretty dope, though. I fucking love this machine gun. This is so cool. Anyhow, Rogue gets a telepathic call from Betsy, and she's like, oh shit. Flies over, is able to pull Colossus off Betsy after she broke several ribs. I love the way that Claremont kind of writes the dialogue with Betsy, or even her inner monologue. You really feel that she has like the British sort of vocabulary and manner of speech correct. And this might be because Chris himself spent quite a bit of time in the UK as well. So Rogue goes out to go find the boss lady, Aurora, and we were returned to Logan, who's down in the sewers. And this is kind of funny. So he's going through, kind of looking at the murder and the death, and he smells X Factor, and he's trying to think of himself. It's like, okay, Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, what are you, Angel? What are you guys doing down here? What's going on here? What have you guys become? And then he smells something else, and he's like, what the fuck? Who is this woman? How can she be boom! He gets freaking nailed because he's busy dozing off thinking of freaking Jean Grey Putang. You know, I swear to God, Jean Grey is like the source of all the misery in the X-Men books. We go back over to Rogue, this is a freaking great wide shot panel, like that flying over the lake and stuff. Sorry, I just like this panel a lot. And Storm has made it to the shore after just randomly running and swimming, and she decides she's had enough. She strips down into her skinnies and starts running off. So this type, I'm having a laugh right here, but I actually did enjoy reading a lot of this. This is an aspect of Chris Claremont's writing that he is notorious for. He loves to do this, which is characters having these inner conflicts, both through thought bubbles and actual dialogue to themselves, just sort of that inner conflict. Whether it be Logan, Storm, Cyclops, etc. This is something that Chris Claremont always did, and people often would criticize him for being way too soap opera-y with the way that he does this. Like, everyone is kind of Hamlet at one time or another in the X-Men books. Personally, I love it, and it's something that I've come to expect from Claremont's writing. So when it happens, I actually kind of enjoy it. But I do admit he does kind of indulge just a little too much in this book, especially with Storm. This whole subplot of her running away and dealing with leadership issues, essentially, kind of runs off for a little too long for my taste. We get back to the lab. Peter is in dire straits. He is very, very injured, but it's his armored form that's kind of keeping him alive right now. If he goes back to his human form, he's essentially going to die. So Moira McTaggart, who Magic brought over to help out everybody in the New Mutants, she's kind of at a loss of what to do because, hey, regular surgical tools and medicine is not going to help him in his steel form. Of course, in comes Magneto to save the day, and he's like, well, if he's made out of steel, I have magnetism powers. I am the master of magnetism. So Magneto gets to work using his powers to sort of heal Peter, and he does accomplish his goal. Unfortunately, Peter, for whatever reason, is paralyzed now. Magneto has a moment of like, oh shit. We get back to the sewers where Logan finds out who his attacker is. It's none other than Sabretooth. And you get some great back and forth here, and a lot of essentially setup for future subplots, which will lead into the introduction of Mr. Sinister and later subplots with Inferno and other things that you'll find out later. But yeah, so Sabretooth kind of gives Logan a lot of shit because there's a lot of history between these two characters. And he basically tells him, it's like, what the hell happened to you? You used to be the best there is at what you did, but I freaking could have killed you right there. And Logan's like, talk is cheap, bub. Let's go. And you get essentially the fight between the two. Back over in the wilderness, Storm is apparently doing some cosplay, while Callisto kind of runs her down and challenges her to grow up and retake the mantle of leadership and retake the X-Men, right? So you get kind of this conflict between the two, and this is where I kind of feel this whole subplot kind of takes a little too long, in my opinion. Kind of drags on. There's like more pages dedicated to Storm in this book than Wolverine, where in reality, this book is, you know, advertised to be mostly about Wolverine. That being said, you know, it is a useful idea, in my opinion, because up until now, Storm has kind of, you know, questioned herself every once in a while then as the leader of the X-Men. But she's never had, you know, this much of a failure like she has right now. She really, you know, has screwed up, and a lot of the X-Men are jacked up. And she's questioning whether she really should be the leader of the X-Men. Unfortunately for her, no one else is available to become the leader of the X-Men, and Scott, you know, Summers, Cyclops, is too busy chasing redheads. So, you know, it is what it is, Storm. You're going to have to take it. Back in the sewers, Wolverine and Sabretooth are going at it. Sabretooth, for the most part, is coming out on top up until one last mistake, and Wolverine cuts the ceiling on top of him and is able to essentially trap him under some rubble for the time being. And this is where we see really where the important aspect of this fight was. The fight wasn't necessarily just, you know, Wolverine and Sabretooth tearing each other apart. What it really is to show the character growth of Logan compared to his origins back when he first joined the X-Men and to where he is right now in the mid-'80s, you know, where Claremont has taken him. He's not a murderer, right? He is determined that, yeah, he would love to fight Sabretooth to the death right here, but this healer that Sabretooth was holding captive could potentially save so many lives from Morlocks and the mutants back at the mansion. So, you know, he decides, you know what, we'll settle this later, buddy. And he takes the healer and walks away the better man and the real hero, right? These are like truly heroic actions for Logan, who has mainly been an anti-hero for, well, probably his entire, you know, comic book career to a degree, right? And we get back over here, you also see the resolution between Callisto and Storm. And this is kind of where I noticed like the first, you know, signs of Callisto and Storm having a little more between them than what's probably shown. I think people have mentioned before, and Claremont has kind of alluded to Storm not necessarily being just into men, so to speak. So this is kind of a sign of it right here. It was still pretty good right here, and you see Storm, you know, kind of gets over herself and realizes, you know, I am the leader of the X-Men. I got to take that mantle and keep up the team together, right? Wolverine returns with the healer, catches up with Rogue, and they have kind of like a sweet back and forth. And then the sewers basically erupt into fire right behind them. And Wolverine is super freaked out because on his way out there, he smelled the New Mutants, who were also sneaking out, as you remember in the previous issue of the New Mutants that I reviewed for the series. And both him and Rogue are like, holy shit. It's like, are the New Mutants still alive? You know, and the only way to find out, of course, is to pick up New Mutants number 48. In the meantime, the next issue of Uncanny X-Men will both resolve the Mutant Massacre series as far as the X-Men team is concerned, as well as introduce a brand new team member to the X-Men. So you'll have to find that one out now, won't you? Overall, great issue. You know, it gets a little too soap opera-y here and there, but for the most part, enjoy to read, and another great classic X-Men issue from the 80s. Anyhow, that's the review. Let me know what you think. If you like this review, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. You got any comments about the Uncanny X-Men number 212? Leave it down below, and I will see you next time.